们往往以为现在很多新创的产业，他们代表了新兴的创意能力，但是最近英国的《卫报》它是一个相当具有权威的一个传统媒体，它特别报道了大家所熟知的 Uber 平台如何在全世界推出。它推出的方法不是因为它很便利，所以广受民众欢迎，它在很多国家里头其实遇到了很多问题，而它怎么解决问题呢？透过绵密的政商关系，英国的《卫报》独家披露了 Uber 如何用各种方式，包括收买，包括游说各国政要，其中连法国的总统马克宏都被点名。
2015年6月25日，在浪漫之都巴黎，美国摇滚歌手寇特尼·罗夫因为搭上一辆 Uber， 经历了人生的至暗时刻。
They've ambushed our car and they're holding our driver hostage, she tweeted. They're beating the cars with metal bats. This is France. I'm safer in Baghdad.
法国是 Uber 对外扩张首个进驻的欧洲国家。抗争司机不满他们得支付数千欧元才能拥有出租执照，而 Uber 分文不花就抢走生意，这根本就不公平。
We're doubling, every 6 months, and really doing billions of dollars in transactions a year.
对 Uber 创始人卡拉尼克来说，规则就是用来打破的。随着 Uber 在全美乃至全球开拓新地盘，他陷入一场又一场的战斗，对手是一个名叫计程车的混蛋。
Uber's former chief executive, Travis Kalanick, responded to strikes by taxi drivers by ordering a counter-protest. When company executives warned it could result in attacks on Uber drivers, Kalanick replied, "I think it's worth it. Violence guarantees success."
When Travis said, "Violence guarantees success," what did you think he meant by that?
I think he meant that the only way to get governments to change the rules and legalize Uber and allow Uber to grow as Uber wished would be to keep the fight, to keep the controversy burning. And if that meant Uber drivers going on strike, Uber drivers doing a demo in the streets, Uber drivers blocking Barcelona, blocking Berlin, blocking Paris, then that was the way to go.
Isn't that dangerous?
Of course it's dangerous. It's also, in a way, very selfish, because he was not the guy on the street who was being threatened, who was being attacked, who was being beaten up, and in some cases, shot.
马克麦干是 Uber 2014年至2016年间在欧洲的首席说客。
As a top lobbyist for Uber, Mark McGann's job was to make friends in high places. His mission? Pave the way for Uber's global domination, even in cities where its service was illegal. Mark is now coming forward to identify himself as the source of the Uber files, a leak of more than 120,000 confidential documents to The Guardian. The data reveals how Uber broke the law and evaded police, how it used Emmanuel Macron in France, courted oligarchs in Putin's Russia, and held secret meetings with UK cabinet ministers.
Access to power is not something that is democratized.
Uber 通常不按规定来，而是指导权力核心，再透过朋友或是中间人施加影响力，借此获得各国权贵的投资支持。
This is what Uber's goals are moving into the country. I know we're having violent clashes at the time. Can you basically help us? And Macron sort of, acquiescing to some of Uber's questions or even demands at some point, which was very interesting. This is kind of stock and trade for a lot of large tech companies expanding in different countries. So on the one hand, you could argue this is kind of how it works. Moving into new countries is a very difficult part of expansion, and sometimes you just sort of have to get your hands dirty to push inside.
Uber 利用激进策略顺利打开市场，目前已在600多座城市里服务。但为达目的不择手段的行径，让马克麦根成为计程车司机的眼中钉。亲友各自接连被曝光，更屡屡接到死亡威胁。而一些加入 Uber 的司机，日子也过得胆战心惊。
If there's any country that stood to benefit
from Uber's promises about a path to economic growth for a large portion of unemployed people, it was South Africa. Timothy is a driver, so when he was picking up passengers and dropping them off in the area of rival taxi operators, they surrounded his car, and he describes a situation where he was taken from his car and put into another car and taken somewhere private where he says the police couldn't interfere with what they were doing.
So as they say to me, if you don't give me 5,000 cash, we're gonna burn you and then we burn a car.
Who was this?
With the taxi drivers, these taxi drivers.
Yeah.
Timothy was released only after the man he rents his car from paid the kidnappers the equivalent of $300.
也因此，矽谷创投天王 PayPal 联合创始人彼得泰尔形容 Uber 是矽谷最没有道义的公司。创始人卡拉尼克的名字甚至成为了矽谷过于激进的商业行为和粗暴行为的代名词。
These leaked files span from 2013 to 2017, and that's before Uber came under new leadership. The current Uber CEO, as you know, Dara Khosrowshahi, joined in 2017. So in a written statement, Uber's spokesperson, Jill Hazelbacker, acknowledged quote-unquote mistakes in the past and said that the new CEO had been tasked with transforming every aspect of how Uber operates. So do you think there has been significant changes now?
And in 2017, there was a reckoning that basically replaced the founder with this new CEO. I don't think it's unfair to say there has been massive turnover. I believe Hazelbaker says 90% of the company is completely new employees since Travis left the company. And a lot of the old timers left and went to Travis's new startup with him. So I think there is absolutely new DNA in the company. I mean, some things that don't change are the business model of Uber, right? It's still a on-demand, non-employment sort of work service that requires tons of labor and has a lot of clashes in different countries with people who don't like the model. So maybe they're doing things a different way now, which I think is probably fair, but it's still the same service, and they're still going to come up against people who don't like Uber in their country.
这可能正是现代我们所说的各国治理的危机，也就是说，不论你是民主政体还是你是非民主政体，你基本上都是一个被游说的、被收买的政治精英所组成的统治集团。它也因此丧失了民众对你的信心。通货膨胀一来，如果你这个国家的经济基础不够强，它就出现了政变。谢谢你收看今天文茜的世界周报，文茜的世界周报欧洲版，我们明天见，拜拜。